This is Mahesh Ravi, and in this video, I want to talk about something very interesting, at least to me. And it's very special to me as well. So, I recently published a book. I recently made a book on design. So, it's called Figures of Design, and it's a compilation of the greatest inspirations that I had in the design industry. So I thought that that will be a useful book for design aspirants and design students to have a handy book that is good to refer and then look at these people and then know about their famous works and things like that. So this is another vertical that I wanted to do from quite a long time. And the main reason for me to choose to write a book is part of a plan where I thought of like increasing my value as a human being and as a designer. What I was trying to do is to provide useful content, put it out there, and I've been doing YouTube videos, I've been doing blogging. So I want to create more useful, consumable content for people that will, definitely add value to them. So in that process, it will bring up my value as well as a human being and also as a design practitioner. So the book is it's actually a very small book. It's very handy. So you can see that it's called Figures of Design. And what I've done is I wrote the first volume of this. So I wanted to create a series of this, like Figures of Design, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, where I sort of look at all the designers, and then I want to feature them. Um, I want to try and feature pretty much every relevant designer out there. So this is a compilation which includes graphic designers from our yesteryears and also the graphic designer who are contemporary today. So um, so I have 28 designers featured in this book, the first edition of it, and the next book will feature another 28. So it's a mixed bag of designers from every period and every domain of design. And what I've also done is that I'll basically be featuring one work that actually inspired me a lot, or how did I get to know about this particular designer? From which piece of work did I find or read about this designer is also featured in here, and a description of what is their kind of design, what is the style of design, what are the other works that they've done, how can you know more about them, and all that will be briefly explained in here. So this is how the book looks like. And so a couple of things about the process, right? I thought it will be very useful if I do this video in a blog style, uh, which is not something that I'm very comfortable or used to, but still it is going to be very informative. So when I was thinking about doing things for my personal brand and working on this particular vertical, I thought of like, okay, this is the right way. I can actually share things that I know in a format that will be easy to handle. I mean, I don't want it to be an ebook. I don't want it to be a blog. I want it to be something that it's very tactile. You can take it, you can carry it, you can read it anywhere that you want. So then I thought of like making a print book, a hard, a physical copy of a book. I had certain topics in mind. So the first thing that I was doing is that I sat down and I thought about what could be the content of my first book. So I had written a lot of design essays, design articles about UX, productivity, and all that stuff. My initial thought was to compile all of those and then put it out there. But then why I thought that okay, that could be my second book because nobody knows me. And then if I put my essays out there, if people don't know me, I mean, I don't think they are going to you know um, go in for that. So I thought, like, okay, I'll make some useful content right now. Could be a list of designers because I've noticed a lot of designers who come into the design industry, they don't know who are the other designers in the world. They might actually be very interested in the tool and the process of design, but they might not know much about the history of design, or they don't have a role model. See, one of the fundamental things that I tell all my students is that if you want to study design, you need to actually look at other people's design and try to analytically break it down and study why each component is used in that design. So then you will understand, how to bring that sort of value to your design, and it will actually become a process which is much beyond the tool, right? And tool will be just an optional thing, or it's an end game that you will only think about at the last process of your design. So to make that easier, to access that easier, I thought of like creating this figures of design. So the prominent figures, personalities of design, I'm compiling it in a series of books. So this is volume one of Figures of Design. And so once I had this idea, I got, okay, this is I'm going to start with this. Then what I had to do is I had to select a list of designers that I want to feature. So what I did was I went through all my notes that I had in my Notion, and I looked through all the designers who inspired me at certain points of my life or my design journey. I made a list of them, and it was huge. The list was really huge. So then I sort of looked at contemporary designers, the modern designers, and designers who work in different media, and segregated them into different groups. And I picked designers from each of these groups. So I wanted that variety to happen from book one itself. So rather than focusing only on older designers from older generations, I've featured designers who are like very brand new and who just started their career and all that, and who showed potential and influenced me. So that's kind of collection that I wanted to make. And so once I had the list, I started researching on them more. And then I started writing about it. I used Notion itself to write the content, what I actually wanted to know. So if I am a student and who wants to know about a designer, what are the things that I want to know? So it could be their career, the beginning of their career, the famous works, the books that they have written, one of the most iconic work that they have done, and what are their design characteristics, what is their design philosophy. So these could be the things that I want to know. So I compiled only those information, and I didn't want it to go beyond one page. So I basically created one paragraph for one designer, which actually covered all of these topics, and I used very simple language to write it down. So once I've done it, I did some research to find out, the books that they have written and all that, and I've sort of linked it to it. Now, the second thing that I wanted to do is that I wanted to take the piece of work that when I heard about that designer for the first time, what's the first thing that I looked at? What is the first work that I looked at? And most of the time, that's their most famous work, because when you search for a particular designer, their most famous work is going to pop out. So that sort of aligned, right? So when I got to know many designers through their iconic work, so I took those works and I featured it on these pages. So for every design, I picked only one design which basically tells everything that you want to know about that designer, the style of it, their language, their typography choices, their philosophy of design, etc. What's their style that they go with, and all that. I just chose one which was sort of like a principal design, which covered everything that they done in their career. So that was the thing that actually took a lot of time, because I had to go through a lot of works, and then I had to choose one which had all these qualities that could inform the reader that, okay, this is what is special about this designer. Now, once I've done this, it was the layout part of it. So again, I wanted to keep the whole process as simple and fast as possible. So what I've done is I basically went to Canva, and all the things that I have done, all the things that I've written down, I basically pasted it to Canva documents, and I did my layout in Canva itself. I could have used InDesign, I could have used Illustrator, I could have done all of those things, but it was unnecessarily wasting a lot of time to go through back and forth with these tools and all that. But Canva actually let me do it without any sort of like, I didn't even have to think about the tool. And this is one of the fundamental things that is a takeaway from this video, right? You don't need to have, a lot of software knowledge to publish or put out your first book. You can just do it, open canva.com, and then do it with the free plan, and your book is ready. So I did the whole layout thing there. Um, so I'm not actually a print design. I'm not into publication design. I haven't printed a lot of my work. So my experience in printing is basically very, very low. But what I had to do is to create a print book. So once I was done with the layout and all that, I designed the covers, and I wanted to keep it as minimal and as simple as possible. And I wanted to create an identity there. So you might have seen the covers, right? So it was very basic, and I basically did this the design also in Canva. Sorry, I didn't even use Canva. I actually did this in PixArt, a mobile application, which is more than enough for me. So what I did was I basically created these figures, and they were it was like figures of design was designed with a block of text itself, but those text was acting like characters. So they were facing each other, they were upside down and all those, so they were characters. So it sort of looked like crowd walking on, just say Grand Central Railway Station, right? People are walking and all that. And you can actually see a stroke of line which actually goes to it, with basically connected, um, you know, um, a designer who's looking the other direction to the designer who's looking the opposite direction. So that was the link that I had. There was something which is unique with all these designers, which basically, in simple word, they are all great designers. So I did that, and then the title of the book, I had different thoughts about it, but when I started designing itself, when I started writing the book itself, the first thing that came to my mind was figures of design, and I wrote it and as my rough title. Then I thought of like, okay, I'll improve it later, but I couldn't, I didn't actually do much work on that. Um, Later, when I came back to the composition, when I was creating the cover, having the idea of creating the cover and all that, figures of design actually fit perfectly to this. So I also put the volume one title there, and the cover page was ready. And when I did all of those things, then the next step was to print out the book and see how this actually looks at the end. So what I've done is I created the whole thing, and I checked out a couple of online printing services. So I thought of Vistaprint, which was slightly expensive and didn't have the format. I wanted it to be an A5 book, which is this size. I wanted it to be this size. I didn't want it to be bigger or smaller. So I designed it for it, and I wanted it to look exactly like this. And I wanted it to be, the quality needs to be like this. The text size needs to be exactly like this, and all that stuff. So I had carefully planned all of this. I think this is slightly out of focus, so I hope you are able to see it. Okay, so I wanted all of that in the exact format. So the first thing that I've tried is to test a printout. So I went to Printo. I didn't even go there. I actually did it online. So I just uploaded the PDF that I got from Canva. I could download a print ready PDF from Canva. I sent it to them, and I asked them to print it out in the book format. So I used a perfect finish. So the binding is seamless. You cannot see the staples or clips or anything like that. It came back, but the first edition of the print was sort of like all the pages were not in order. How I wanted it, it didn't appear to me like that. See, so then I figured out that okay, Printo actually works in a different way of how pagination goes, page flows goes, and all that. So looking at that test print, I rearranged the pages in Canva documents. Very, very simple. I added few blank pages here and there. So it sort of balanced out, and the layout came exactly like how I wanted it to be. So on the left side, there is going to be the design work. On the right side, it's going to talk about the designer. So after that first error that I made, I quickly realized, okay, this is what I done, what I did. Then I went back and I reshuffled the pages, and I used that document to get a print, and it was perfect. I got the first copy, and it was perfectly done in every way. So once that copy was ready, I started reordering the same thing for a couple of times, and I had a set of 5 books which is ready to go right now at my hand right now. I also went to my website, and I created a page specifically for my books. So I'm writing 2 books parallelly right now. This is over, and I'm working on the essay book as well. So I listed that out there, and then the next thing was to figure out how to sell this. So I am yet to figure out a plan to whether. So I'm sort of confused whether to go with Wix to upgrade my website platform to let e-commerce happen there itself, or should I actually use Shopify or some other third-party service to sell the book? I'm not going to publish this book with an established publisher. I want to just self-publish this. and test it out. I'm just testing the waters with this book, this edition of book. So what I've done right now is that in my website, I just gave a link that, there is my QR code and you can pay it there, and your book, the physical copy of the book, will be delivered to the address that you gave. So that's the payment mode right now that I've set up, and it's all ready to go. I also made an interesting thing. Along with the book, I actually created my own bookmarks, just to add a little bit of a small amount of value to the book that we are giving it to. When the user gets it, they are going to get a bookmark which is customized and designed for this book. So that's basically sums up my whole journey of how I started, and I was ready with the whole book. So to be very honest, the whole thing of this process, when I started, the plan, I had it from my mind. The whole process of, designing this, writing it, putting it together and publishing it and getting it to a book, it actually took me only 6 days. So I created the whole thing in just 6 days. Why I'm saying this is that, see, you can actually do a lot of things that will increase your value like this. And it doesn't actually take that much of an effort to do it right now. There are so many tutorials available on how to actually self-publish a book, how to write a book, how to get started with something. So it could be just resources that you're selling. It could be tutorials that you're doing. So I would always recommend students who are actually watching it to strive for increasing your value, because that's the only thing that matters. One other thing that I want to say is that working on a lot of freelance projects and making money will not increase your value, right? It will just give you money for spending, but it will not increase your value because you're doing the things that you already know. You keep doing the same kind of stuff again and again. But when you actually do a new course, when you study something new, when you write a book, when you put out your knowledge out there via YouTube, when you write a blog, you are increasing your value, right? That is what you need to grow in your career. Your value needs to go up. If your value remains the same, it means the same thing. Your value hasn't changed. Your value hasn't improved. So why should somebody pay you more money and give you a bigger position? So try to always strive for the growth of your value. And I hope this was useful, the video. And yeah, now you can order the book. Go to my website, maheshravi.com, and look at books and commodities. Click on that, click on Figures of Design Volume 1 and order your copy today, right? And you will get it in a couple of days. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll see you soon.